Hi, my name is Mike, and I'm here to read a comic. And today's comic is Justice League of America, issue number 109, dated February 1974. And about the time that this issue should have been taken off the newsstands, because that's what these dates are for. It's not when the comic hit the newsstand, it's when they were expected to be pulled from the newsstand. I was 7 years old. I had just turned 7 years old. I don't remember buying this issue, though I do remember a great desire to read this issue. Because comic books that came out in this month often featured this cover as kind of an in-house ad. So that combined with the scenario, because DC had a different philosophy than Marvel in terms of covers. Marvel tended to focus more on action in their covers, whereas DC tended to focus on scenarios. So this is definitely, there's less action, more scenario in it. Superman, he's coming in. This is the day all the Legionnaires feared. Basically, when Space Jesus decides that he's going to throw a temper tantrum and be a super dick to them. And they're like, okay, we see when you act like a super dick to others. We're not expecting this. So he comes in, he walks into the room. He's demanding to know that he had heard that one of the Justice Leaguers was quitting. And he wanted to know who, and he wanted to know why. And he is bursting this door down. He's looking for answers. We see Batman, Atom, Flash, the Elongated Man, Green Arrow, Hawkman, and Black Canary. They're all very concerned about this, given how easily Superman could change their lives for the worse. And it's sort of this, who is it scenario, and why is Superman so upset about it? And the cover is drawn by Nick Cardy. It's a good cover. It made me, for years, I've wanted to read this issue, and I finally read this issue. It's okay. Honestly, it's a little childlike. And this is kind of an early Len Wein. Len Wein was writing better stories than this one. And but nevertheless, I'm going to go into the comic. I'll talk about it a little bit. We take a look at the first ad. It's for Daisy BB guns. And then we see a scene in a classroom. This has not aged well. When you're associating gun ownership for teens in a school. And apparently there's this kid, and he's reading a comic book. And they're implying that this is a bad student because he's not putting in the effort. And that, if you want to guilt your parents into buying you a BB gun, you really got to get good grades. You kind of want to be known as the nice, quiet kid who minded his own business. Then one day he went berserk, and it's usually he went berserk and shut up the school. Okay, so I'm going to go into the story. It's it doesn't have a traditional splash page. That comes in a little later. So it sort of fits into the scenario where this is sort of kind of a whodunit. So the idea is that when Len was crafting this story, he wanted the interest to be focused on the mystery and the explanation rather than any action going on in the story. We see Hawkeye. I should start. The meeting here of the Justice Leaguers, it's taking place on their satellite, which is orbiting Earth at this moment. Not all the members are there, but it's still impressive. You got Batman, who's the chairman of the Justice League at the time. You have the Flash. You have the Atom. You have Black Canary. You have Elongated Man, and you have Green Arrow. And they're being greeted by Hawkman. And it turned out that it was Hawkman who had sent out the alert that he wanted this meeting. Now, the other members of the Justice League of America, Superman, Green Lantern, Aquaman, they're still monitoring this meeting, but they're following the meeting remotely. So they're kind of zooming in. And we see that Hawkman has some seemingly bad news, because these are his friends and colleagues. He's saying that you guys may never see me again. And the other members are asking why. You know, he's being so melodramatic here. And he says, and Hawkman tells everyone that he's resigning as a member of the Justice League. I'm going to turn the page. We'll see the creative team a little later. So not only is it startling, this news is startling to the members who are actually on the satellite, but also to the members who are back on Earth. That includes Superman, Green Lantern, and Aquaman. Aquaman looks like he's on the throne, not his royal throne, his bathroom throne here, which has to be a little uncomfortable because, I mean, he's taking it in the water, so that whatever he's expelling from his body is like floating back at him. And the members of the Justice League, they're upset. The Flash is, again, this is like they're like grade school children. Flash is like, in heaven's name, man, why? Have we done something to offend you? Was it that turkey dinner? You know, we kind of have to have it on Thanksgiving. And Black Canary saying, if Green Arrow's insults have caused this, I'll... And apparently at this time, Green Arrow was using Hawkman as a foil for his jokes and whatnot. So Green Arrow's been kind of bullying Hawkman here a little bit. I guess this is like, quote, character development. Green Arrow, I think, really gets the shaft. His character and how it grew during the Denny O'Neil, Neil Adams run of Green Lantern, Green Arrow should have changed this character. But the thing was, even though there was a tremendous amount of growth in that character in that series, it never replicated throughout the rest of the line. And Green Arrow was kind of stuck in doing these very bland, childish things, where all the character development that Denny O'Neil did just was thrown out. But Hawkman is saying that it has nothing to do with that. You guys have been great. But the thing is, I'm a cop, but I'm a cop on another world. And, you know, I kind of wanted to learn different law enforcement techniques and learn how other planets, you know, keep the peasantry in line. And I learned a lot here on Earth, you know. The brutality techniques that I learned on Earth, holy crap. Wait till I go back to my home world and we start, you know, bringing the hammer down. But he's saying that the thing is that his tour of duty has ended and his home planet wants him back. So this is more of a bureaucratic thing than anything else. So it's something that Hawkman and his wife, Hawk Woman or Hawk Girl, they don't really want to do this, but they're sort of obligated to do this. So they're not leaving with any type of bitterness. It's just simply a bureaucratic thing. And the other Justice Leaguers, they don't want their friend to leave. They wanted to see, is there anything he can do to kind of extend his stay? And he's saying, no, you know, the bosses want me back, and me and the wife, we have to pack up and go. And then they're interrupted by a voice. Turn the page. And it's a doctor, kind of a Robert Redford looking guy. He's holding up a beat up red tornado, and they don't know what's going on. The Justice League, they're confused. They're confused about seeing their teammate Red Tornado beaten up again. And at the same time, he's being held up by this stranger here. And the stranger is introducing himself to the other members of the Justice League. He's saying, I'm Dr. Bruce Gordon, and to some extent, I'm responsible for the harm done to your colleague. Dun, dun, dun. And we're kind of given these dialogue boxes, pointing out that this doctor is an important character in the story. We're told that the title of this is The Doom of the Divided Man. And the writer is Len Wein. And the next Marvel comic I'm going to look at is also done by Len Wein, although I didn't plan it. The art team is Dick Dillon and Dick DiGiordano. Dick Dillon is fine. Dick Dillon does have his fans. I think, he did draw a lot of comics. He did have kind of a distinct style. I didn't think it was a great style. It was adequate. But nevertheless, and it's sort of like Herb Trimpe, who I'm going to look at in my Marvel comic. But nevertheless, there are fans who do have a fondness for his work. I thought it was fine. It was sort of like average. Dick DiGiordano, he did bring something to the inks. The art is much better than normally I would expect from a Dick Dillon book. The editor is Jules Swartz. So Jules Swartz, he's sort of like Twist and stuff like that. So there's kind of some twist here. And then I'm going to turn the page. I don't know who the inker is. So the Justice Leaguers, they're kind of taken aback because, one, they want to know what's going on with Red Tornado, and two, they want to know how this guy is responsible, since he admitted to it, as to why Red Tornado's kind of getting beaten up. So Dr. Gordon, he immediately starts in talking about what was going on with Red Tornado, but he's immediately interrupted by Red Tornado. Red Tornado, he's a little insecure. He's kind of saying, listen, I could speak for myself, and I don't need any stinking human doing it for me.
Kill all humans. Kill all humans. Must kill all humans.
So Red Tornado is kind of being, he's a little sensitive here. So he's going back to the story. He's telling everybody that he had gotten a job with a woman that he has a crush on.
Hey, sexy mama. Want to kill all humans?
Again, this is during the time where the Vision married Scarlet Witch. So they're thinking, hey, maybe there are more women out there who are into metal. Real metal. And he was in his civilian identity, because Red Tornado does have a civilian identity. He was working as a lab assistant, and he was assisting Dr. Gordon here. And Dr. Gordon was running through a series of experiments, which we'll find out later why he was using himself. And we're being told by the editor that this event was going on in Justice League number 106. So they're starting at this point, DC, a little bit of continuum. Continuity, I'm sorry. I always mispronounce that word. They're working on continuity here. So they're trying to kind of recall events that happened earlier. But you can see it's done very briefly here and not really in a meaningful way. So the Dr. Gordon, he's experimenting on himself. There's these two huge rays that are hitting him. Apparently, everything was going well for the first 2/3 of the process. Then something happened, and there was a large explosion. Similar to what happened when Dr. Doom started experimenting with entering Mephisto's dimension. He ended up scarring his face. So similar to that, although Dr. Gordon doesn't have any scarring. But the thing is, as Dr. Gordon was knocked out from the explosion, from the device that was feeding him all this energy, we see three figures coming out of his body. And they all sort of had this evil look to them. And when John Smith, Red Tornado saw these guys, he knew that these guys were up to no good, and he immediately went into action as Red Tornado. But the thing is that Red Tornado was not a match for even one of them, much less three. So the three entities coming out of this body, which is a character called Ellipso, they easily took care of Red Tornado. Ellipso, I believe, was a character created by Alex Toth. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. And it's a character that was used almost exclusively by Alan Toth. I'm going to turn the page. Take a look at an ad here. The one on top is karate. We see this guy with this 1970s porn stash, kind of looking a little like Tom Selleck. And we see another one was for drafting. It's a drafting kit if you are looking to get into architecture. The job did not exist until about 20 years later, but this is basically kind of interior design, where I guess the architect has the grander vision, and then the interior designer would sort of do the grunt work in terms of how things should be set up. And turn the page. We go back to the story. Batman is surprised to hear the name Ellipso. Apparently he's been dormant for a while. Batman said that this character has been dormant for months, I guess in comic book time. But in terms of real time, he was probably dormant a lot longer. And Dr. Bruce Gordon, he comes up clean. He says, listen, I'm Ellipso. You guys didn't know of any secret identities, and I'm here to tell you right now that I'm Ellipso. And we see a flashback to Ellipso's origin. It goes back to House of Secrets number 61. I remember Alex Toth, he did do some Marvel and DC work in the kind of early 60s. And we see him giving the origin of the character. And what had happened is during the dormant time, the doctor found a way to suppress Ellipso. Because I think the thing is that if it was completely shadowed, or something with darkness, he would become Ellipso. So it was sort of like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. But apparently he was able to suppress this character, Ellipso. Ellipso was sort of an anti-hero from what I remember. He definitely wasn't the villain, but they sort of made him out to be somewhat menacing. So he would be helpful to society, but he would do it for his own reasons. And it was always implied that the doctor did not have much control over Ellipso during that transformation phase. But thing is that when he was doing that experiment with Red Tornado or John Smith, it looks like the experiment got out of control, and it ended up releasing 3 Ellipsos. So there was some type of duplication where now there are 3 entities, and this guy is causing 3 times the problems. Turn the page. And he's going back. He's still talking about the story. He's saying that 1 Ellipso is a menace. 3 Ellipsos are definitely a menace to the planet, and we really got to stop these guys. Batman, he's looking through his punch cards. You remember his computer punch cards? And there's something that's bothering him about the release of the 3 Ellipsos. And what it is that somehow these 3 Ellipsos are absorbing energy from the Earth itself. So these guys are a danger to Earth because he might be soaking up enough energy to cause a crisis here. This is kind of interesting here. This makes me think that Chris Claremont was a real fan of Len Wein, and he remembered this. Because I remember there was an issue of Marvel Team Up, and it was Spider-Man and Thor. and they were up against the living monolith. And the living monolith, he did this cool little thing where he talked about how he draws his power from the primal fabric of the universe itself. And this is very similar to what Len did. And the issue I'm talking about, a Marvel team-up, came out years ago. So I'm thinking Chris Claremont, he probably read this issue, probably remembered this little part. And then he kind of copied it in some way, but he did a better version of it. Because the Chris Claremont version was much better. So anyway, Batman is saying that the Earth only has 6 hours of survival time, because at that point the 3 ellipsos will just generate or drain so much energy from the Earth itself, kind of like Galactus. The Doctor, he's not really helpful because he doesn't have specific memories of what Ellipso was thinking about or planning. So he doesn't really know of their plans. He says, I feel like I have a concept of what they were planning, but I don't know exactly what they're planning. And now Hawkman, he said he was leaving for his home planet, but the thing is he's going to extend his stay to take care of this mission. I guess at this point, I think Hawkman can kind of say, look, there's extenuating circumstances here. Want to leave on good terms here. Want to bring some more cops so they can really learn these wonderful brutality techniques. So Hawkman is going to join in on stopping the Ellipsos. Batman is the chairman, so Batman calls the shots. He's saying, Tornado, I want you to stay here because you're kind of beaten up. And I want you to stay here with Dr. Gordon. And Batman says, Hawkman, Flash, and Elongated Man will. And he's immediately interrupted by Green Arrow. And he's asking that can he be teamed up with Hawkman instead? And I guess this is kind of the running theme they had where Green Arrow was kind of bullying Hawkman here. But it looks like maybe he wants to make amends here, kind of knowing this is our last mission together, possibly. Batman agrees to this. He's like, fine, whatever. Yeah, I wonder how much thought Batman put into setting up these teams. So everything's set. So Hawkman, Green Arrow, and Elongated Man, they make up one team. Black Canary and the Atom, they make up another team. And Batman and the Flash, they make up the third team. Red Tornado, he's just sitting here at the table. Nobody's giving him any milk whatsoever. And you know, Dr. Gordon, he's kind of wishing these guys the best. Because he's saying, listen, if Ellipso, destroys the world, I'm going to feel really bad for that 1 megasecond. So the story's kind of broken up into 3 stories. The first is the team of the Atom and the Black Canary. They're heading down to the bottom of the ocean here. It does say that they do have protective suits. I guess Stockton Rush didn't buy them, and they're both heading down, and they're going to intercept a ship that's under the sea that contains possibly one of the Ellipsos. Adam is kind of complaining about the way Batman set up the team, saying it was a little haphazard. Do you think he really cares that much? And I don't think our power set is up to this. Like, we should not be being sent to the bottom of the sea. Black Canary is like, stand by your man. She's saying, listen, just believe in Batman. And he always knows what he's doing. He's a really smart guy here. And according to the story, what's happening is that they're going to the bottom of the sea because apparently there's a base there of scientists, and they're working on these anti-pollution measures. So this is a base where these are scientists. These are climate change scientists. They're making sure the climate doesn't change too much. But Ellipso wants to destroy that base the same way that, MAGA would want to destroy it. And but Black Canary saying, listen, just believe in Batman. And then the Atom, he's the first to come across Ellipso's thugs. Apparently, Ellipso was able to recruit henchmen. He was able to recruit henchmen who are fine with scuba diving at the bottom of the ocean. They weren't worried about those implosions at all. And they go on the attack. Turn the page. And we see that the two of them, they're actually doing fairly well, even though their power set really isn't designed for this. Black Canary is able to still use her karate chops to at least deflect the spear guns from firing on them. The spears, I should say, are coming toward them, and Black Canary is able to karate chop them. The Atom is able to change his density. So the thing is, he's actually shrunk smaller, but he still retains his normal weight. And his normal weight is about 180 pounds. But he's still like really small, like the Atom. So imagine something the size of a tennis ball hitting you as if it were 180 pounds. And that's what's going on. The Atom is taking advantage of this, and he's knocking out many of Ellipso's henchmen who are there under the sea. Atom's proud of himself. He knocked out three of Ellipso's men. But the thing is that Black Canary is having trouble with her three Ellipso thugs or henchmen, because she just simply can't get any leverage because she's under the sea. But then suddenly, out of nowhere, Aquaman comes over. And he starts attacking the henchmen. He tells them, okay, scum, hands off the heroin before I break them off. Which heroin? Which heroin are you talking about, Aquaman? But he's clearly talking about Black Canary. Black Canary is kind of a little discombobulated because she's fighting these guys under the sea. The Atom is surprised that Aquaman showed up. Then a guy named Aquaman, who's king of the seven seas, he's kind of surprised. Oh, where did you come from? Aquaman says, "Listen, I live down here, little fella," and he says that he was contacted by Batman after you two had left, and he's saying, "Didn't he contact you to confirm this message?" And Adam says, "No, he didn't. I guess he didn't get the chance." And we're told by the editor in the dialogue box to hang on for a few pages, and we'll find out why. Jill Swartz didn't like any hanging ties or storylines, so he would want this part to be explained. So anyway, the fight is going on. Aquaman is doing quite well for himself. It seems like Aquaman wants Black Canary and the Atom to get into the base, and that he'll handle what's going on outside. Black Canary doesn't like this. She wants to help Aquaman out. But the Atom is saying, come on, we have to go. We have to go. Let Aquaman take care of this part. Let Aquaman be Aquaman. So anyway, Black Canary and the Atom, they're inside the lab here, the undersea lab. It looks like the doctors or scientists who are working on this lab, they're unconscious. Atom figures that Ellipso was responsible for this. That he probably knocked them out with some type of gas. When Ellipso hears his name, he immediately reveals himself. And Ellipso, he's kind of like, doing the whole mustache twirling thing. Ellipso's main power is kind of this diamond this black diamond that acts as kind of a ray. Kind of similar to what Green Lantern can do with the ring, but it seems like Ellipso's powers is a little more limited. So it's just these powerful bolts. Black Canary's having trouble with this. One, because Ellipso is really chauvinistic, and he's calling her a girl. Yeah, you're a girl. Oh, I get the girl of the team. Black Canary doesn't like this. First, she doesn't like being called a girl. She's saying, "Look at me. I'm wearing this, cabaret outfit. I got like this nice little kitten collar on me. I'm wearing these dark nylons and these buccaneer boots. I am not a girl." But still, Ellipso is kind of taunting her with the girl comment. But nevertheless, Black Canary does have to be very respectful of Ellipso, because he does have this power. He does sort of have this long-range power. She's not good at dealing with foes like that. She needs to get close to her opponent, and that's where she can use her judo and her various other fighting techniques. But against an enemy that can fire from long range, she's not really that good with dealing with it. But nevertheless, she's always up for a fight. And Black Canary remembers something that Dr. Gordon said, that Ellipso doesn't like huge displays of light. So if there's a huge light show going on, Ellipso is going to have problems, because I do remember reading the Alex Toth version, is that his power always came out at night. So so it looks like Black Canary is kind of throwing this LDS light at him. Turn the page. The light that Black Canary threw, it hits. It sets out a burst of light that overwhelms Ellipso. However, Ellipso, he's momentarily stunned, but he's not out. And then he's there fighting Black Canary back. Now, this is really going to bother Black Canary, because that was her best shot at taking this guy out. And it turned out it didn't really bother the guy. So then, I guess Aquaman had finished his fight up outside. So he had entered the lab, and now he's entering into this particular room. Black Canary is warning Aquaman that, hey, we have a dangerous guy here. And, Ellipso's still hung up on this little girl thing. Kind of makes me wonder about this guy. Might have some type of pervo thing going on. But the thing is that a flying fish comes to the rescue. So Aquaman himself couldn't do jack shit. He had to sacrifice the life of one of his flying fish. The flying fish rams Ellipso's hand, the hand that's holding the black diamond that has his power. It's taken out of his hand. The poor fish, he's going to end up in the corner flapping away until he suffocates because he's out of water. Then Aquaman slugs Ellipso at the side of the head, gives him a concussion, and Ellipso falls into a tank of water where the fish were. So I guess, again, it's sort of an anti-pollution type of lab. So I guess they're using the fish to see how they react to the anti-pollution technology. And Ellipso has been knocked out. Aquaman fishes him out. And it looks like these three, they've handled Ellipso number one. But the thing is, they also note that there are two more Ellipsos, and they still have that 6-hour time limit. And turn the page. I've seen this ad before. So, the next team up is Batman and the Flash. The last time I seen these two was that horrible Brave and the Bold issue number 99. If you get a chance to read it, I recommend reading it. It is a truly horrible story. Bob Hanley should have been forced to return that paycheck. So anyway, we see the Flash and Batman. Batman's holding on to the Flash. The Flash is running at super speed, and it looks like they're in Death Valley. So right now they're in California. I don't know what part of the ocean the other ones were from. I guess since Aquaman is king of Atlantis, Atlantis is probably Atlantic Ocean. So that might be a bit of a hint. So anyway, so the Flash is running through Death Valley, California, with Batman in tow. Both of them are probably shit talking Superman, because once again, Superman is a huge dick. The Flash is the fastest man alive. He has that one title, but goddamn it, Superman has to take it away from him. And Batman just has to keep reminding Superman that he is truly the brains of the operation. But nevertheless, they keep their voices down when they say this. But they're talking about Ellipso. So they got the news back that the gang at least stopped Ellipso number 1. And I think Batman admits that he was slow in getting contact with the others about Aquaman being involved. Because if you remember, Black Canary and the Atom, they were surprised that Aquaman showed up. And it turned out Batman did contact Aquaman, but he failed to contact Black Canary and the Atom to tell them that he's going to show up. So that's why they were surprised he showed up. So Batman, the thinking process was fine, but he was a little tardy getting back to Canary and Atom. But nevertheless, they're going to follow through with their mission on getting Ellipso number 2. And it's another lab, and it's another lab dedicated to stopping pollution. People in the mid-'70s kind of took pollution a bit more seriously than they kind of do today, even though we have better technology and techniques. So anyway, it seems like Ellipso 2 is at this climate change lab. Batman and the Flash, they're kind of taken aback by this because Ellipso goes on the offense and starts attacking them from the lab. I'm going to turn the page. Now, again, these guys have problems. Batman has problems dealing with foes who can strike from a distance. It's less of a problem with the Flash, but sometimes the Flash has to put himself out there as a guinea pig, and he has to act as the decoy, which is what he's doing. So the Flash is circling the lab where Ellipso is in, and where he's using this antenna to fire on Batman and the Flash. But the thing is, the Flash, because of his great speed, the rays keep missing him, because apparently he's able to run so fast that it appears that there are multiple images of him. So he's counting on that the Ellipso rays will hit the mirages rather than actually Barry. Now, while this is going on, Batman, I should say. Oh, he would get furious if I called him Superman. Batman, he swings to the lab. He reaches the antenna and he just kind of like kicks it while flying. Well, still kind of flying in the air there. So Batman is using his momentum to stop the Ellipso's rays. So at least at this point, Ellipso can't strike them from the outside. They're both going to enter the lab. They do so, and they run into a similar situation that the other members of the Justice League had. The scientists are unconscious, and we see Ellipso, this version. Apparently, Batman and Ellipso, they do have some history together from Brave and the Bold number 64. Again, that's something that Marvel did a lot. They reminded readers of, where these two had met before. I could skip this ad here. An in-house ad for Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. These are these big treasury editions. I've spoken about them before. DC was actually the first to get them out on the newsstand. This was an attempt to get the kids to spend more money on their products, because this large size edition is $1. I would not have wanted Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. The story's horrible, where this poor being is just bullied, driven off, and then when he's useful to Santa just takes advantage of him. Turn the page. We see an ad for Pop-O-Matic games. I remember these. One was called Headache. The other was called Trouble. I remember playing both of them. There was Pop-Up Checkers. I kind of remember that too. There was like a time limit. And a few others. And you can find these at these fine stores. McCrory, McClellan, H.L. Green, Brits, J.J. Newberry, Heston, and S. Klein. Wow. Another ad. This is the famous ad, the Charles Atlas ad with the guy. He gets sand kicked in his face. And then he's bitched 2 times. First by the bully, who says, "Listen here, I'd smash your face. Only you're so skinny, you might dry up and blow away." And then here's the guy, the skinny guy, like the mouse that roared. He says, "The big bully, I'll get even someday." And then his date here says, "Oh, don't let it bother you, little boy." So she's like rubbing it in. And eventually he says he took a course, but he probably took a ton of steroids. He ends up beating up the bully. And then, he's told that he's a real man by knocking out a bully, which is fine. Bullies deserve to be knocked out. Okay. So we're going to go back to the story, and it's Batman who confronts Ellipso. And again, he sort of has that light grenade, so they're going to use a huge burst of light. Ellipso is ready for this, because even though this is a weakness, he kind of knows that this is a weakness, and he knows that other people know that this is a weakness. So Ellipso is able to stop this burst of light. And at the same time, some of Ellipso's henchmen come jumping down from the rafters. And Batman is not surprised. In fact, Batman, thinking out loud, talking out loud, said, "Ellipso's henchmen. I was wondering how long it would take for them to make their move." Flash is like, "You mean you knew they were above us?" And Batman says, "Chum, in my end of the business, you don't reach retirement age if you don't always know everything. Now get moving. I can handle this scum. Ellipso's the one I want." So it's going to be on the Flash to handle Ellipso, and Batman will take care of the henchmen. It kind of makes sense. Batman does not really have the power set to deal with an Ellipso. So the Flash, he goes forward. He's going for a frontal assault, but Ellipso is already prepared for that. He's using that power from that diamond, and he's producing a black light beam that's knocking out the Flash. So the Flash is blinded for the moment because he's been hit with this blinding black light. But the thing is that it looks like the Flash is about to run into a solid object. But the thing is, even though he's blind, he uses his super speed to shift his molecules so he can go right through it. So basically, this is what's going to save the Flash. Turn the page. Flash is coming forward. He's gonna meet up with Ellipso. Neither one of them are afraid. Neither one of them are going to give ground. Ellipso activates a force field that throws the Flash off. So right now the Flash is on his heels, but it doesn't last too long. He immediately starts encircling Ellipso. But Ellipso doesn't really know what he's doing.
What are you doing?
However, at some point, Ellipso catches on to what the Flash is doing, but it's too late. And he sort of looks like he implodes a little. And that's exactly what happened. The thing is, as the Flash was circling Ellipso, and he's getting closer and closer and exerting pressure on Ellipso, Ellipso activated a force field to counteract the force coming from the Flash. But the thing was that the force that the Flash was producing was stronger than Ellipso's force field. So the force field kept going in and in, sort of like the Titan submersible, and then eventually it imploded. And this implosion was enough energy to knock Ellipso out of the game here. And the Flash, he gives a compliment to Batman, saying, "Hey, you really beat up those henchmen. Really good. You applied those concussions. I am so jealous." Batman asks the Flash how he did this. He's telling him basically, "Yeah, I just made him implode." So then both Batman and the Flash, they grab Ellipso by one leg and they just dragging him off. No dignity whatsoever. Turn the page. I guess we can take a look at this ad, even though it's one I've seen before. I'm sick and tired of my job. This is for CIE Electronics, the Cleveland Institute of Electronics. There's a married couple. The guy seems very unhappy, kind of a crank. And the thing is that they had made a dinner movie date with a friend of theirs, a couple who's a friend of theirs. So this is sort of like a double date, triple date, I guess two couples. And it turns out the husband's tired. He's saying, "Listen, I have a crappy job. I'm not in the mood to entertain these jerk-offs. Can we just ignore them?" The wife lays on a guilt trip saying, "Listen, we don't go out very much. You know, I'm the one who married this man of lowered expectations, but nevertheless, I don't feel I should suffer all the consequences, and you can make an exception and get your sorry ass out of the house." So they go to Jim and Helen's place. They're both impressed with how nice their home is. And the husband wants to know where Jim had got the money. And the wife says Jim is in electronics now. So the two of them are driving to the movie. They both have their fedoras on. The women are in the back seat gossiping to each other. The loser husband is asking the winner husband, you know, how'd you make so much money? And the winner husband saying, I learned electronics at, you know, the Cleveland Institute of Electronics. And I kind of learned what I needed to know, and I'm in the electronics business. Okay, you can turn the page. Look at this in-house ad for DC's subscription service. It looks like you get 15 issues for like $3. And I think prices went up a year later. So I don't know what happened. Were these subscribers locked into these issues? Because I don't know if they're promising you 15, 20-cent issues, but they also came out with giant size issues, and they didn't last. They weren't 15 cents for that long. You see some of the comics out. You get their superhero line, their mystery line, which is more successful than Marvel's. Also, their war line was more successful. Adventure, I would probably say Marvel, simply because of Conan. It looks like Commandy is DC's most successful adventure line. I love Commandy when Jack Kirby was doing it. We see the Swamp Thing. It's up to issue number 4. I recommend these Bernie Wrights and Swamp Things. And then we're told something big is coming from DC in 74. The last time they promised that was Jack Kirby's Fourth World. And I don't think they came up with anything better in the mid-70s. Okay, so we're going to go to the last team. It's Hawkman, Green Arrow and the Elongated Man. And it's basically similar to the story that we first read with Black Canary and Adam, but rather than being under the sea, they are above the sky. And apparently this climate change base, but it's instead it's sort of elevated, sort of like one of the shield platforms. And we see that Ellipso has thugs, but rather than scuba gear, they're sort of wearing these James Bond jetpacks, and they're battling these three members of the Justice League in the air, even though surprisingly only one of them could fly. We have Green Arrow and Elongated Man, who are not known for flight, but nevertheless they are flying. And the Elongated Man gives away the game in the second panel, saying that, isn't it great that Hawkman gave us these anti-gravity belts? So Green Arrow and Elongated Man, they're wearing these belts that defy gravity and allows them to fly. Green Arrow's complaining about this, saying that, listen, the belts are nice, but we could use some wings here. And the wings would allow us to glide and to move around, and we're kind of just flailing here in the air. I mean, it's helpful, and we're beating these henchmen, but still, this is not ideal. Hawkman says, listen, bitch, I only had these two left, and I don't have an extra pair of wings. I'm kind of using them, and can you shut the fuck up? And he's also mentioning that when he returns to his home planet, he's going to have to recharge the belts that Green Arrow and Elongated Man are using. Going to turn the page. And then third Ellipso shows up. And he's quite arrogant. And he fires upon the Elongated Man. And the Elongated Man was able to absorb a lot of the energy. However, the anti-gravity belt that he borrowed from Hawkman has been damaged. So he no longer can fly. Hawkman, he flies, and he's racing, going to the rescue for the Elongated Man. However, it turns out the Elongated Man elongated his right arm long enough that he can grab the lab platform. So that's what's keeping him up here, and he's kind of giving these corny jokes about, hey brother, I can lend you a hand. So Hawkman, he immediately confronts Ellipso. Ellipso's not impressed by this. He's basically, he's a canary here. He's a little boy, he wants to play birdie. He's not impressed with Hawkman. Then Hawkman, he's kind of insulted, and he calls out for, quote, his feathered friends. So Hawkman has the same power that Aquaman has, in that he has control over simpler, innocent creatures. Aquaman, he controls fish, so so he basically enslaves fish to assist and help the very humanity that is kind of carpet bombing them with these huge fishing nets. So the fish have been kind of brainwashed through Batman to assist humanity, while at the same time they're being served in pots. And Hawkman, he has control of the birds. The birds come around, they help humanity, and then once they're free, they're immediately shot at by hunters. So all these birds are coming to attack Ellipso because Hawkman demanded it. Turn the page. And again, Ellipso uses his force field to repel these three heroes. So again, these three heroes are not set up to deal with an Ellipso. Green Arrow, he stops fighting because he wants to engage in a long discussion with the Ellipso, saying, that listen, you may think you have the drop on us now because of your force field, but we're just going to wait. We're going to wait it out, and eventually at some point your power will drain to the point where we can handle you. Ellipso, he's listening to this. He's kind of aware that he may not have as much time as he thinks. Then we see Green Arrow. He's kind of taunting Ellipso, calling him a chicken and saying that, listen, you might get away if we fall asleep, but that's the only way you're getting away. So Green Arrow is trying to get under Ellipso's skin. It works because Ellipso then goes on the offense and he drops his force field. And we see that Ellipso is being attacked by Green Arrow and his arrow. His arrow knocks out Ellipso. Ellipso had fired a shot, but Green Arrow was able to duck it. So this Ellipso went down pretty easily, in fact. We see again some type of some conflict between Green Arrow and Hawkman. Green Arrow is saying, now, if you can do something besides standing there looking heroic, Buzzard Beak, you might try figuring out a way for us to get Ellipso back to headquarters. Because remember, these two guys, they lost their power belts. And Green Arrow is continuing. I think that belt you lent me ran out of gas. Hawkman goes, you'll never change, will you, Archer? Green Arrow says, gee, I hope not. What would my legions of fans say? I don't know, that might be a shot that Green Arrow never really had a fan base at this time. He was considered kind of this second-tier guy who fills in a role, which he did do in those Neil Adams Green Lantern Green Arrows. But again, I don't think other writers really respected this character too much. Turn the page. So anyway, the Ellipsos and the rest of the Justice Leaguers, they're back on the satellite of love. And it's the Doctor here who's giving some expository dialogue. And he's happy that these Ellipsos were captured. The Ellipsos, they're still talking in unison together. So the thing is that they sort of are still at least telepathically connected because they're finishing each other's sentences. And then the Ellipsos, they go from 3 to 1, but a much larger one. So the thing is, the Ellipsos that the Justice League caught are much different than the Ellipsos they're now facing. Because now they're facing an Ellipso that's one entity, but is 3 times larger. I'm going to turn the page. And I don't need to look at that. I'm going to take a look at an in-house ad. It's for 2 100-page giants. They were 50 cents at this time. They eventually went up to 60 cents, which is an odd price point. Because normally you kind of went from 20, 25 cents, 50 cents, $1. Eventually DC did lower it from 60 to 50, but they gave the kids less pages. So they said, listen, we'll give you a slightly more expensive comic that's not as expensive as the stuff that we really reprinted a few years earlier, but you can still lose a few pages. The first one here is Batman issue number 252, and this is Batman versus Man-Bat. They were really pushing Man-Bat at this time, but he never took off. The following issue, 255, is excellent. It's the last Neil Adams Batman for the regular series. And it's a Len Wein story, and it deals with the werewolf, and it is so good, that story. And here's a 100-page giant for the Witching Hour. There's, of course, a lot of reprinted material along with some new material. You get 13 stories. So that tells me there's a lot of reprints, but you probably get a quick one or two. I'm not sure this cover would motivate me to buy it. I did buy some of these horror comics, but it was largely based on the cover. And we're told that you can buy these in August. So August of 1973, I think, or 4. Probably 74. So anyway, or late 73, I should say. So the three Ellipsos, they're going to handle the Justice League of America. At first, all the members are thrown back. Ellipso, not only is he 3 times bigger, he also has 3 diamonds. And then there was kind of this explosion. And suddenly this huge burst of light comes. And the other members of the Justice League, they're noticing this light. They're standing around saying, my eyes can hardly see a blasted thing. What happened? Where's Ellipso? Did we get him? You got him all right. Ellipso is gone, hopefully for good. So the members of the Justice League are kind of confused here. Because clearly it looks like they were on the edge of defeat. It looks like they suddenly won the battle, but they don't really know why they won. And Batman has figured out what was going on, and he takes credit for it. He's saying, listen, we won this because of me. And it turns out Batman, some type of nonsense with him and Light. Saying Batman saved the day. We don't really know the details, and kind of that's that. So we go to the epilogue. The epilogue, this is Hawkman saying goodbye. Everything's been wrapped up, and he's kind of leaving. He doesn't really want to leave. Black Canary gives him a kiss. Hawkman looks kind of uncomfortable, and the other members, they're saying, hey, we're sorry to see you go. And Hawkman is pointing out that his bully hasn't shown up. Hawkman wants to say goodbye to the bully, and that would be Green Arrow. But he's saying he doesn't care. He never really cared. He's not here. But it turns out Green Arrow does care. He does miss bullying Hawkman. He's alone, looking at the Earth from the satellite. Black Canary kind of finds him. Black Canary informs Green Arrow that Hawkman has left. Green Arrow says, I know he left. I know. He has a little tear in his eye. Maybe this might have been kind of a homoerotic relationship here. I know a lot of gay men will say that the worst men that they encounter are ones on the DL. So maybe Green Arrow is going through a crisis of identity. And they're both looking out. Black Canary, she stands by her man saying, my man's a weak bully, and the person he bullied has left, and God damn it, just making my bully feel bad. And we're told that the next issue is going to be a Christmas issue, and it's going to come out December 6th. I don't think this comic was dated right, and that's it. And that's it for the story. This would not make me a fan of the Justice League of America. So I'm going to take a look at the letters. It's going to be a little difficult because it looks like they're talking about issue 106, and I've never read that issue. A lot of the letters is just simply praising Len Wein. Just talking about how great Len Wein is. Nothing terribly interesting. Yeah, they just like Len Wein a lot. And even the ones who say Len Wein kind of sucks, well, he doesn't really suck that much. Yeah. So they're kind of stroking Len Wein here. They're talking about Red Tornado. Apparently 106 was a Red Tornado story. And yeah, that's about it. And here's another ad I should mention. Another adventure with the Ready Rangers. I only remember this one ad, and it kind of looked kind of cool. I definitely would not have liked camping out. I'm not a nature person, so as cool as this looks here, I would have hated it. And again, yeah, these guys get rescued by helicopter. So anyway, that's about it. And that is my review of Justice League of America, issue number 109. And I hope to have more reviews up soon. Bye.